Of course, we are not done. We also want to make sure that we give a quick shout out to the other BI use cases that we come into contact with. The first one is with regards to filter datasets. Filter datasets is a use case where you would like to reuse those test cases. It's the exact example which I was discussing in our cross BI use case, where I want to make sure that, say, if I apply filter as technology, first class furniture, and Connecticut, the test case is run with that, but I want to make sure that it goes through iteratively all of the test cases, in this case, the permutation and combination of filters and slicers inherently. So the application has a good amount of the use cases built in, where all you have to do is to select the BI tool in question, load the report up, select specifics if you would like to get into them. You can leave it blank as well. In that case, the application is not going to list that specific filter value. It's going to list all of them. And after providing an upper limit, the application can automatically create the permutation and combination as we saw. So now you can rerun the same test case, except while applying different filters and slicers. Another aspect is in terms of stress testing. So what is stress testing? Well, stress testing involves creating simulated load on your BI systems to make sure that the expected SLA times are being within expected ranges. What I mean by this is, well, we can simulate 500 users trying to access a particular bunch of reports, trying to, say, look into them, applying filters on them if needed as well, with a lot of other conditions that we can't really get into in the interest of time. And this is going to give out a proper response curve, telling you exactly what happens when you run this particular reports against 500 users together, what is the response time, what is the filter application time, min, max, SLAs, and a lot more as well. So this is another rabbit hole which gets into performance testing. Then we also have the standardization. If you think about it as a BI tool, we can connect to not just the data and the visual elements, but also the underlying system. So this includes, like in this example, what are the data sources which have been used, how many data sources and worksheets are visible. If a field has been used, how many times has it been used, which are the fields which have not been used. If you're working with measures, these measure definitions and measure names should have a centralized commonality between them. Lots of times we see this use case where the same measure name across different worksheets does something different. And this can cause a lot of issues in highly managed secure systems of, say, 50, 30 reports or so on. Much more than that, of course, but measure definition consistency is a pretty important use case. Apart from that, we also have standardization of reports in terms of font families, colors, font names, and of course, version difference between all of them as well. As you can imagine, this is something that we can customize to a great degree. Customization is never new to us. And if you'd really like to, the application can create custom plugins where, let's say, this is the example that we were working with. For a Power BI data model, our client wanted to ensure that any hard-coded values are being caught. So our application can just run a simple plugin, which is a slight customization of our existing code. And it can get the expressions out in datasets, and now we can apply simple rules to capture the hard-coded systems. Again, as you can imagine, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of other variants that we can get into as well with regards to security and other systems. And of course, you can define integrations with a lot of other tool sets as you see fit. For more questions and details, feel free to get in touch with us at datagaps.com. Thank you.
For further questions, feel free to reach contact at datagaps.com. Request a free demo, scan the QR code below. Thank you.